Hello, everyone, and welcome to this evening's episode of the New Breed podcast, where we are bringing you the next generation of leaders for conversations that are unfiltered. My name is Fiona Kemijisha, and shortly you will also hear from my co-host, Mr. Robert Kabshenga. And we're here every single Monday at 8 p.m. EAT, hosting some of the young people that are aspiring for office here in Uganda. As you know, elections are just a few, should we even say months? Let's say a few weeks away. It's really oncoming, and we thought it would be a really good idea to have these young aspiring leaders come on and we get to know them. Who are they? How are they reimagining the future of our country, the present, and what is their why? So if you would like to make sure that you don't miss our program every single Monday, follow us. Subscribe on YouTube at the New Breed Podcast UG, and follow us as well on X at Shenga and myself at Fiona Kemi, as well as on TikTok. Same handles, and you'll be able to catch us right here every Monday at 8 p.m. EAT. Now, we have a couple of watching options, so you can watch us over on YouTube, you can watch us on Robert's X, you can watch us on my Instagram. So really, that you can catch us in just a number of places. There is really no reason for you to miss. So if you're already watching right now, send a link to a friend, a colleague, so that this conversation is not just for a few, right? We'd like as many people as possible to benefit from these conversations and from this access that we have to these young leaders. And hopefully we can just be a little bit more woke in how we are making our decisions for the leaders of our country. Now, we are not going to do any introductions of any of the leaders because you've seen them, we've posted them on our platforms, and you're probably already a little bit familiar with them. But if you aren't, no problem, you're in the right place. And we are going to dive right into our conversation. Let me hand over to you, Robert.
Hi, everyone. First of all, my apologies. I'm sitting at a train station. Please don't laugh at me. Yeah, but that's the whole thing about technology, that we're able to have these conversations on the go anywhere, everywhere we're at. And I want to start by asking Judith this question. Judith, why should young people be interested in political office at the local government level? I was actually intrigued that of all offices, you decided to go for local councillor. How? When there is member of parliament? How? When there is president? Why did you choose local administration? And why do you just want to be a councillor? Don't you have bigger ambitions?
So generally, thank you so much, Mr. Kabshenga. Fiona, thank you so much for giving me opportunity to be part of you and part of this platform. Sorry, I'm also in a restaurant. We have to operate on the go, so I was not able to go home. Actually, if I was at home, the audio and video would have been much better because I have a studio at home. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be with you here and to share the aspirations of young people. You've asked me a more personal question, though of course I have a general answer, but I also have a more personal question, answer to that. First of all, I ask young people, our interest in politics currently is, we have had issues with the old generation, in that they are locked in that mindset of we brought peace. They're locked into what they did. Each generation has its own mandate. For example, the pre-colonial times, they were fighting for independence. And the 1960s, they were fighting for how do we implement this self-governance that we've been given. Then in the Amin era, so many things happened. When Museveni came, of course, we had been having problems of instability, war, changing government, that transition that is not peaceful. Unfortunately, yes, I agree. Museveni brought peace. The bigger part of peace we've had in this country is because of Museveni. I'll argue with that. But now that is no longer our problem. Our problem of today is, how with the coming of technology, so many things have shifted. The needs of the young people have shifted. So our needs inevitably are not the only basic needs we used to have of food, shelter, and what. These days, data is a basic need. If I don't have data, me as Nalukwago, it's very hard for me to operate. So that is one of the reasons why I joined politics, is because I feel like the old generation is not doing a service to our generation currently. But what made me join local government instead of MP, instead of president? Of course, there are various reasons. And some of them are, when I came from university as a young person, I believe that, yes, even when people were telling me that you're good, you can go into legislation as far as a member of parliament, as someone who had not been in national politics, university politics, they are quite similar, but there are differences. As someone who has now tried to understand the local governance and the national politics, there are certain things that are kind of different. So I thought to myself that it would be better for me to grow, to become a better leader by joining local government. Because one, local government, you interact so much with the people. So you understand their problems better than at the legislation. If you've started at legislation straight away, like member of parliament. So that is one of the reasons that pushed me to go into local politics, to understand my people, to understand the local politics of the areas, because I don't want to come and I'm detached from the people who I am leading. And also, like I told you, to grow into governance issues. I am still young, I still have time to understand the landscape. So I told myself this is an opportunity for me to grow and show people that I can manage, instead of probably, if you start very big, also the fall can be very big. This one gives me an opportunity to do good things, but also if I make mistakes, I think people will be able to understand that I started here so that I can learn better. And also, when you look at the structure of our politics these days, it's so financial constraining. When you look at, they say currently the average money spent by NMP contesting is around 400, 500 million. As a young person who has just come from university, that is not a privilege that I own, that I have. You can imagine, I just started working last year. I'm just 1 year into the working environment. So I don't think I have accumulated that enough money. Actually, for me, I have in my mindset, if I cannot afford 80% of the budget of what I'm going into, that is not my thing. I have to be able to afford between 70 to 80%, so that even when I don't manage to fundraise that 20, 30% that is left, 70% can help me run my projects that I'm working on. So when I sat down and I looked at my budget as member of parliament, it just didn't add up. I couldn't even get 20% of the money. I was like, no, this is not an area for me. So that was also one of the reasons that I'm like, no, I don't want to go into this position and I start burdening people. Oh, fundraise for me, give me posters, give me this. I want to be able to self-sustain, because I also realized, because in 2021, 2020, I helped some of my colleagues, young colleagues who went into parliament. I was there to campaign for them, but I saw some of them who struggled with money, and it was not a pretty scene. Some of them, people come to invest in money into your campaign and they're like, when you reach parliament, I want you to do this and this for me. And those things do not align with your values and principles. So I told myself, as Nalukwago, let me be able to afford my campaign so that when I go into City Hall, I can stay on my values and principles. So that was also one of the factors that told me, you know what, this is the place for you. For now, probably later we shall climb higher ranks. But also, of course, consulting some people, my mentors, because some of them recommended that I should start with local government. Of course, some were like, no, start with MP. But after consultation, some of my mentors decided, they encouraged me to start with local government because I will learn a lot from there. And I also looked at someone like Winnie Chiza. I really love Winnie Chiza. She has inspired a lot of us into politics. Even her, when she started from university, she was not from university, but by that time, I think she had done a certificate or diploma. She started from local council leadership in Kasese, and look at the person she has become. So I believe that was an area for me. It's an area for me to gather as much experience as I can, so that when I come to serve you as member of parliament, as anything that I would want to be in this country, I have enough experience with me to deliver what the Ugandans would love. Yes.
And Fiona, I want to ask Tracy, I hope she's still there. Why should young people care about local office? I mean, she's a secretary for youth NRM in Ntungam. I mean, why, if Tracy is still there with us, why should young people care about local administration? They tend to be more engaged and more energized about the national politics. But interestingly, why should young people care? I hope Tracy is there. If she's not, oh yeah. Hi, Tracy. Yes. Nice to see you. Good. So tell us. Yeah.
Very good Hope I'm clear. My camera was not good at first and I'm heard very well.
Yes, go ahead.
Very good evening. My name is Atukunda MaryTracy, Secretary Female Youth in the National Youth Council for Ntongamo District and chairperson for my sub-county in the ENRM Youth League. I'm very humbled to be here and be part of this show to motivate the young people of this country. Thank you so much, Robert and Fiona, for hosting us. So to answer my question, I was also at first one of the people who wanted to jump into national politics. But as my sister said, Nalukwago, it's usually a journey for us to understand and appreciate these different levels for us to be able to deliver to the young people. And actually, even the old people we shall deliver to at the age we shall be on. So what I appreciated during my journey in the politics, because these were two different positions I ran for, because usually when you go back to the village, people say these are Kampala people, these are town people. They usually don't want to associate with us. But it helps us as young leaders appreciate that when we go to the villages, we have to change the way we perceive things. We have to change the way we handle things. We have to change the way we handle ourselves and lower ourselves to the low man's level and understand that if these are people at the village level, we have to understand how they think. We have to now fit into their character. I was appreciating I had Lenia was supposed to be on this show because we left university together and she was running for woman member of parliament. She had to go back to the village. She changed totally how she dresses. She had to learn the language because these people, if you do not understand their language, forget about them supporting you. So it helped us appreciate that, wow, these are the people, this is where we belong. These are our people. We have to understand what they like. And you fit into what they like, not what you want as a person, as a leader. Because if we do not understand these people, if we do not understand the local people, then why am I at national politics? I'm not there to serve people in town. I'm here to serve people from Ntongamo, people from Kasese, the people that are on ground. So I feel like this local politics has helped us appreciate that these are the people we have, appreciate our language, appreciate our culture, appreciate our tradition. And I would recommend that every young person should start with the local politics. Go to your sub-county, go to your parish. Many people were defeated because they did not appreciate this fact. But the people who emerged winners appreciated the fact, moved village to campaign. You reach people's houses and you get to know that actually it is true, people sleep on hungry stomachs. You appreciate that people go and dig in people's gardens to at least get something to feed their family. You appreciate that there are families that are beaten. There are men who go and drink alcohol the whole day. When we get to understand these issues, this is what grooms a qualified member of parliament to represent the country, who will not go to their seats and sit to parliament and just sleep, but at least have the sense to advocate for their people. I think I beg to submit.
Thank you so much, Tracy. And I have to say, and I don't know if Robert is feeling the same way, it's encouraging. It's encouraging to hear young aspiring leaders talking about
the grassroots kugrawundi.
That one,
yes.
That very one.
Yes,
until we are on the ground, that you're really appreciating the importance of going back to the smallest, the lowest possible level in order to learn how to go through the ranks.
Fiona,
I have a question.
Fiona, yes. Before you come in, let me, because my time is really limited, so I want to ask both Judith and Tracy exactly the same question. When you went on, as we say in Uganda, on ground, what did you find that you think young people, especially those who are on the platforms that we are, need to understand about the common person? Because that theme has come up in both of you. What is it about the ordinary, common young person, especially. What are their dreams? What are their frustrations? What are their pains? What did you discover as leaders doing groundwork at that lower unit level?
Perhaps we can start with you, Jude.
So I managed to, when I came in the constituency and I declared my candidature, actually, I did not wait for Electoral Commission to give us permission to do these door-to-door campaigns like we've started last week. Personally, I started my door-to-door campaigns as early as April. And the reason why I did that is to understand the pains of the people, because like she said, that many of us have our preconceived aspirations or preconceived problems that we think that people have. But actually, when you go down there, what you think is a problem is not a problem to them. For them, they have very different problems of what you think. Of course, my constituency happens to be one that is in town. So the challenges they have and their understanding and mindset is a bit different from the village. My home village is Masaka. So when I go to Masaka and I hear from them, and when I come to Kampala where I stay and I hear from them, the challenges are a bit different, or the way they need them to be addressed. For example, the issues the young people have in my constituency is unemployment. That is the biggest issue, which unemployment leads to insecurity, because if I'm unemployed, I have to find a way of making money. The only way to make money is by, of course, disturbing the peace of others, stealing and all that. So one problem leads to another. And also being in the city, and Kampala is one of the dirtiest cities in the world. The problems of garbage, in this century, 21st century, and in 2025, we should not be having challenges like garbage. But that is actually the biggest challenge in Kampala. And if you're not conversant with these people or going down to understand that that is their biggest problem, we will come with other things, but that is their biggest challenge. Everywhere you go, garbage, and drainage. Those are the biggest challenges of our people on ground. But when you go to my constituency, for example, when I go to Masaka, it is not a challenge for them. I mean, they can just burn the polythene bags where they are. They have enough space and what. But here in the city, garbage and drainage, actually, if you work on garbage and drainage, you've solved almost 50% of the challenges of the people in Kampala, because that is their biggest issue. So without you going there, listening to them and understanding, because I remember when I was talking to them about sorting, because for me, I thought, yeah, okay, we have a challenge of garbage, but then we also have a challenge that you people mix up rubbish, the non-biodegradable with the biodegradable, which becomes a challenge for the people. For example, if in future we have, we plan, if it happens in the next government, we plan to have plants that can be able to generate energy from these different kind of garbage. So if you do not start, people don't start understanding the issue of sorting, then by the time we have such a plant, it is going to become a challenge. But when I talk to the people about sorting, do you know what they told me? Like, Councillor, I don't know whether I can say it in Luganda, but Councillor, now you want us to invest extra money in getting two kinds of bins, one for biodegradable and another for non-biodegradable. So it's like it became a burden to them, and they're like, I can't say it solar bipolar. So now you're understanding the people's problems. They're telling you, now you're giving us another problem. For me, I thought it was a good solution, and I thought they would understand it. But for them, no. That's a big issue for them. So now it helps me to come back and understand, okay, what can KCCA do to help these people understand that sorting is important, that it can help them actually in future. Because I thought of probably we can put incentives to people who have sorted their rubbish. If you've sorted your rubbish, there's an incentive, because this rubbish is collected, these people pay to collect for their rubbish to be collected. So maybe put an incentive that if you've sorted your rubbish, you don't have to pay that day, something of that sort. So by interacting with these voters, you get to know how their problems, for them, how they would think their problems would be solved. But also, even when they give you a solution, you can always discuss and tell them, no, it is better this way. You have that interaction. So for me, that is what I got to know when I started interacting with the people locally. Yes.
Okay, Tracy, same question to you. Please share with us, those issues that come up with young people on the ground.
Thank you so much once again. I think to answer the question, Mine, being in the village, it was a bit too tricky. It was a bit too tricky, and the fact that I was running for a youth position in the party, it was on the political beat. We have very many differences, and more so for the district I was coming from, that applied in quite a number of districts, because I'm in a district of the First Lady. So when you would come for a position, people would quite start asking you, are you connected to the first family? Are you related to someone in the first family? Is your father rich? These people want to know which religion do you belong, which culture do you belong. So it's about who and where are you from. It's not you do not just come randomly and you think you're going to run and you think you're going to get a position just like that, and we do not know you. So and it was a very big problem, because now that means Muntu Wansi is not going to get a chance to join these platforms or become member of parliament, or get into any position in power just because they're not connected to someone in the district. And this applied to most of the people who are in the rural areas. And it has also applied for the members of parliament, which was not good at all. And of course, the road I think the roads were also not good, because now if you are campaigning, and of course these people they benefit a lot from agriculture, and now these are the roads they use, but the roads are not okay. The roads are not good. Even when we're campaigning, by the time you reach a voter, you are as dusty as, So, but we had to pick that pitted and pick the impression of people have to find you looking like this, such that you earn the support. But in the long run, of course, it is not good for these young people, because we have border guys, all the marginalized society, these special interest groups contain the young people who are the biggest number, who are border riders, who are involved in agriculture, coffee farming. But of course, the road transportation is very terrible. And the other problem I found was early marriages, gender-based violence, kids dropping out of school, girls getting impregnated at a very young age, because I think the nature of their bodies, they will flourish and they look like they're grown. They lie to them, they drop out of schools. I think there was a very high rate of girls dropping out of school. And gender-based violence in their marriages, they are probably like 3 married in one home, and it is a lot of... The cases were very unbearable at police. You would find cases all the time. So it is very rampant. And of course, they are in these families that maybe the men do not have the best money to cater for these families. And it's a lot of struggle for the young people there and the youth. So you go to campaign in a family, this person tells you, I stay like deep in the mountains, you have to go there, but he has to ask permission from the husband to speak to someone who has come to campaign. They have, that kind of lifestyle that is still backward, I may say, for lack of a better word. But there were very many issues there. Of course, in that one, that's where I put the level of education is going very low for the young girls because of the pregnancies, because of poverty, because they do not have the right equipment to go to school, the menstrual equipments. So it's a lot of things, but just to wrap up a few in those. But there are very many pressing issues. There is water and electricity, which was also a very big problem, because people want to create like machines that can cut scraps, that can cut coffee into another product, or like produce coffee, but they do not have electricity. There is no me actually, I'm a live example. My village, we do not have water and electricity. We still fetch from the well. And electricity, if you do not have solar, probably on the village, you can be like 3 people who have solar and can light. So people have to charge from your place. So such societies and communities are still there, and people are still crying of poor service delivery, because the way I talked about, such positions are for who knows who and who is connected to which family. So when they get to parliament, they are actually not bothered about service delivery. So the health, water, electricity, roads are still not good. So we are coming into these spaces to at least raise a voice and advocate for better service deliveries.
Okay, so both of you have shared such a meaningful appreciation of the issues that the people at the grassroots of the communities that you serve are experiencing. And one of the things that I in particular have been...
And Fiona, I hate to interfere, but they have shared with such a passion and belief. Yeah, go ahead, Fiona.
Yes, indeed, you have shared with such, just like there's a deep, it came through that both of you have such a meaningful understanding of what your communities are experiencing, just right on the ground. And it made me think, this is a question I've asked a couple of times here on the program, because I feel, and I know it's not just me, a number of us, citizens, voters, youth, all of us, want to always hear a little bit more about the specific issues that hit you hard. So you've each spoken about a couple of different things, employment, garbage, drainage, early marriage, gender-based violence. If there was one issue, that you could say that, if you had to pick just one and say this area needs this type of change, and maybe you even have special interest in that area, please share with us, what is that area and what could a strategy look like in your leadership? Let me go back over to you, Judith.
Thank you so much. Anyone would think that probably because I'm a medical doctor, my interest would be in health. But actually, I have very keen interest in education. I happen to come from a house of teachers. Both my parents are teachers, though my mom retired because of medical issues, and they were caused by the conditions they're working in. So I am so passionate about education. And also, given the family I came in, education gave me the key. When they say education is the key to success, for me, I understand it from deep within my heart. Because if it wasn't for education, probably I wouldn't be the person I am. So I'm very appreciative of what education has done for me. And it has given me vast opportunities that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So for me, I feel like our education, especially in this country, at the moment, I feel like it has gone to the dogs. I'm sorry to use such, and I don't know how to say it, but there is so much that's lacking in our education system. As a person who has traveled, I'm happy that at a young age, I've been able to travel and understand what is happening in some of the few countries I've moved in, because I'm very keen at understanding.
Okay, I just want to make sure, can we hear Judith?
What are they doing?
Sorry,
the coffee. Yeah, I think she's done. So can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Someone was making coffee there, so it was making noise. So I'm very keen at understanding what is happening in these people's sectors out where we are at age of, I think, 14, around below the age of 18, let me say 18. So that means around 20-something million Ugandans are below the age of 18. These are the people who are supposed to be in this education sector. How have we set them up for their future? Because you understand that for any country to grow, human resource has to grow and be better. What prepares for that human resource? It's education is one of the key factors in preparation for the human resource. If you do not prepare this human resource, who are going to be working in the next few years? Because our population projection is by 2060, we are going to be around 104 million Ugandans. So 104 million Ugandans, if 60% of those will be young people, or will be working class actually, 60% of those people, how have you prepared them? How have you prepared the education sector? By skilling these people. China did that, Singapore did that. Are we doing that in Uganda? Our education system doesn't have the standard quality that will prepare these young people for that. And actually, we are on a time bomb. I do not know why our leaders cannot see that. If we do not prepare these young people for that future, they are going to become thugs. We're going to have a problem in this country. That is why I'm so passionate about it, because education alone can make you, you do not need so much help from anyone else once you've gotten the quality of that education you need. You can understand that in our public schools, these children don't even have food to eat. So how are you educating this child or making this child go to school for 8 hours and they don't have something to eat? How are they learning? You know, in our homes, we don't get, many of Ugandan homes, they don't get enough food. So they don't have nutrition. There's poor nutrition in this home. So the only place probably where they could get food from is school, but also the government is not providing it. The issue of sanitary pads, I feel like school is an area where very many young people gather, and it's an area to safely distribute the sanitary pads. But has the government put this system into place to make sure these kids, on top of having the quality education, all these other issues are sorted so that the child can settle down, learn, and understand what they are learning. When you look at our curriculum, it's a shame that up to now, the S5s don't have a curriculum. They came from O level using the new curriculum. A level, they cannot use the old curriculum because it's old, it doesn't speak to what they studied in O level. But also there is no new curriculum for UACE. So we are having a confused lot of young people because of the government. That is the government's work to do, but they haven't done it. So the curriculum itself, you see in university, the way we are studying, when we looked at our friends who are studying from out doing medicine and the way we are studying, oh my God, the cut difference was too much. Like, how am I going to, yes, I want to become a better medical doctor. But if my friends are using all these technologies to study and I cannot use them, for example, for us in dental, there's so many technologies that we don't have yet in the country. And we aspire to treat these people coming from those countries. You understand? So the quality of education, the curriculum, does the curriculum speak to the needs of the 21st century? We are in the digital era. Have they incorporated digital ICT into our studies? Yes, it's there, but the theory is too much. ICT is more of a practical course than the theory. If you do not give these children computers, or if you do not give them these tablets to learn from, how are they going to learn to practice the ICT you're talking about? Because we have moved away from just information and technology, but now we are moving into AI. If I cannot learn how to use my computer, how am I going to learn how to use AI? So there's a lot that is happening. I am so passionate about this field, and I hope that in the near future I can be able to do a lot of voluntary work in the education system because it speaks to me a lot.
Let me just ask you, like, part B of that same question, like, if there was one thing that you could reform in that space, you know, like you're there, you have, you know, a position that allows you to do something, what would be like your step one, if you could share that with us?
If I had, now this is a big one, and it has been actually addressed in the NUP manifesto. You know, some of us participated in making that manifesto, and that is the feeding of school-going children. We participated, and I am happy that the party took on that, what was suggested, the party took it on. I as someone, I've ever studied in a UPE school, by the way, even if I went to schools like Namagunga, but in my P1, I was in where my mom used to teach. I was in a government school. And we used not to eat food the whole day. Like, I can't even believe I passed through that life. I can't believe that such happens and it's still happening today. And that is why, for me, I'm so passionate about the school feeding program. I know it is possible. I know it's doable. And better citizens can be produced by that school feeding program. So I am so passionate about it. If I had those powers, like a minister, definitely I would work on that. But as me as Nalukwago Judith, of course, the powers I have is to continue advocacy for probably that, and also other things of continued enrollment of these young people into schools, because many of them are at home, they're not studying, because some of them don't even understand the usefulness of education. So my role at the moment, what I can do is continue to advocate, especially for the girls, to continue going to school and make parents understand. I was in West Nile, I did my internship from there. But many of these young girls don't go to school because their parents, I know they just think probably when she reaches 13 or 14, I'll take her and I get take her off, marry her off, and I get some money from her. But if we continue making them to understand that these people are more than those girls you're going to get, this young girl can become a minister in the next few years and she will be of help to your family. So I feel like that is what I can do at the moment, and I am doing it because I've moved to different areas doing that work of advocacy.
Okay, that might be one of the most specific answers we've ever received on this show thus far. So thank you. Same question to you, Tracy. If there was an issue, if you could pick just one and say this one, it is the place where I will die. This one, I want to really work on it, and just share with us, why does that matter to you? And even what could your strategy for addressing it look like?
I think we should, if I was to pick one, I don't know if it will be direct or very specific, but it would be youth empowerment, and more so to solve the problem of early marriages and help to keep the girls in schools and maybe reduce gender-based violence all the way. Because I've been a product of young people who have been motivated and encouraged and empowered. So I believe that girls are discouraged, these young people are discouraged to leave school, to abandon school and not looking at the bigger picture because they're not getting people who tell them these things. Teachers are saying our duty is just to teach and move out. Health workers think that is their duty to only do their health services. Girls come to abort, come to do things, and they are not even giving a word or two. Our religious leaders think it is just to preach and maybe, that is their part. But who is talking to these young girls? Who is talking to, I'm sorry, I'm more specific with the young girls because I mostly deal with the young girls. Because the work I do, we reach out to the young girls in societies we produce reusable sanitary pads with an organization called Musichana Uganda. But there are girls out there who have lost hope, not even specifically girls, but there are young people who have lost hope. But they are in school, they still have a lot they can bring on table. So I think the generation we need, the future leaders we need, the future doctors, engineers will start from the grassroots. If we cannot, in my language, they say, you have to bend a stick when it is still fresh. Because if it is already dry and bold, you're not going to bend it. But at least we can tame these young kids when they're still in school, when we can still talk to them and they listen. And I believe it is the first journey to produce the kinds of leaders we need. We are talking about leaders. And, we are corrupt leaders. We are talking about a generation of leaders and a community we are not understanding. People are joining starting to take drugs. They are, characters and cultures that are not meant to be for our society. But we are saying, did they get someone to talk to them? Were they motivated? Were they inspired by someone? Have these people learned from stories and at least they have someone to motivate them? So I think it all begins with youth empowerment and these different schools. And we have done outreaches mostly in my district as we pick university students to go back to these schools, we pick a few schools each and every year because we collect a little money to reach out to these schools, give career guidance, give motivation, inspiration. We give to the best students, plant trees, teach them one or two things that at least we have learned quite in our journey, get as the people who are from Ntungamo, but who have reached out, who are like members of parliament or something, to at least motivate these young people. So we started that in 2023, and we are keeping on pushing, and we hope that at least one or two people learn from it, and at least this can, because someone will see a one Tracy and they're motivated. They're like, I think I can be like this accountant. I think I can also be the leader of all the female youth in Ntungamo. So you never know. So we believe that at least we change hearts and we pull numbers to at least.
Fiona, I have one question and then I'll be on the move. I'll stay online, but I'll be on the move. And my question to, again, both Judith and Tracy is...
And I believe Honorable Kabuye has joined as well.
Okay,
So,
the question is to the three of them. Please explain to me what you think of the politics of protest that is driving young people across the continent, from Morocco to Madagascar, from Kenya to West Africa, all across. What do you relate to, and why is it driving? Why are the youth, the Gen Zs as they're called, pushing politics of protest rather than just organizations? What is driving the anger, and how do you relate to it, and how do you think youth can better achieve their outcomes? I'm on the move now.
all right. Thank you, Robert. Perhaps because Honorable Kabuye has just joined us, let us direct that question to you, sir, before we go over to our to the ladies as well. Welcome. Kindly confirm that you are there.
Yes, Fiona. Hope I'm clear.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Welcome.
Thank you. I want to first apologize for coming in late, but at least I made communication. I was in the field, and as you know, the roads and reaching to a place where we could get some good connection from the deep villages where we've been today has been a very, very big hassle. But I want to thank the colleagues that I found submitting. They gave some good insights that I do appreciate, but also to appreciate the program because it is a new space. I've never been here, but at least when you read about it, when you try to research about it, it is something that is creating opportunity for more youth who can come and speak about what the youth agenda is or what things that do affect the youth. How can we get solution to them? How can we handle them? How can we best be heard as young people? Yes, Mr. Robert has asked us a question of why the politics of protest. Well, I think no one of us, as young people, as leaders, as people who have dreams of seeing a better nation, of building a better nation, and building a future that is going to support generations to come, would like to go in a protest way as the first priority. We always have ambitions and we always have desire for peaceful transitions. We have desire of being heard without even the need to demonstrate or to go into protests. But those that do have the tables and do have the rooms to give us that space feel like to them, the young people are not that necessary or reasonable in the decision making, and what your interests are looked at as just artery things that they can do without, things that they can forego. But some of the things that the youth be demanding are things that are now a basic of life. When the youth rise against the expense of the cost of internet, for the old who are out of this generation, who maybe are in the retirement and they're just clinging on power, they might not understand the need of the young person who is in Kasanda, who is trying to look for a living using his TikTok account or X account by trying to build it and get more people who give him some simple contracts to do some advertisements. When he talks about the cost of data, they might not understand him because for them, their priorities elsewhere. The priorities elsewhere. Some of the scars that have been put on them have created fear in many of them. But the moment you see them rise in large numbers, just know it has been to the worst and they cannot hold it anymore unless if they come out and do what they feel like. Yes, by doing this, we might be hard. It might give us hope maybe to do the change that we want to see by ourselves. That's why many young people across the world, in Africa, East Africa, West Africa, are rising and they are taking it on because when they see it work elsewhere, they know it will work even in their place. That's why many are coming up. Thank you.
All right. I think you've really elaborated on that. You know, the need for for young people's voices to be heard in a system that feels like it's not including young people. So let me go over to Judith with the same question. Judith, please share with us your thoughts around, you know, now we're talking of protest vote, you know, what that means and what your understanding is of what that means about our governance. You know, what does protest vote say about our governance systems and maybe what you feel needs to change? Judith, do we
I don't know why
still
Zoom
have
had signed me out, but it signed me
Sorry.
back again. Zoom had signed me out, but it signed me back again.
Oh, okay. Okay. Did you hear the question?
You can repeat the question, but I had heard it, but you can repeat it.
Okay, no problem. So it's actually the same question that Robert asked earlier about, we're seeing more of an, an uprising, protest vote. What do you think that says? I mean, what for you does that say about the state of governance here and even in the region?
First of all, let me just go even straight to what Kabuye is experiencing. In the 21st century, a district that is here in the central, you cannot even get good network. And like I told you, the challenges of this century is not the challenges of what the old generation had. My challenges right now, Nalukwago Judith, is on top of my basic needs, other needs have added. Now data is a basic need for me. If I don't have data, it's like I'm not existing in this world. So if Kabuye cannot have stable internet, that is a big challenge for his life. Many of our young people operating on the internet, they're operating businesses on the internet. So if they don't have stable internet, they're not working. Anyway, let me answer the question like this. As the population of Africa grows, we have so many young people. Very many young people, almost 60% of the population of Africa is made of young people. I think the population of Africa is about 2 billion people, and it's mainly young people. So when you look at it in that way, these young people, our parents used to cross the Indian Ocean, the Pacific, to go and look for greener pastures elsewhere. At this moment, those people are tired of us, but we are also tired of them. We are tired of having to drown in the Indian Ocean, in the Pacific, because we are looking for greener pastures in France, because we are looking for greener pastures in the USA. We want to stay home. We want to change home so that we can have a better life here home, because there can be greener pastures here if we work hard, if we get better. Like I told you when I was starting is, many of these old folks, they are stuck because when you look at the history of Africa, many of them went to war to become the leaders they are today, to become the presidents. So they are stuck with the mindset that we brought peace. You can hear President Museveni's addresses, all of them about I brought peace, I brought peace. Even his contemporaries in other countries, I brought peace, I brought peace. Yes, we understand you brought peace and we appreciate. Those were the challenges of your time because Africa was largely unstable at that time. You came, you worked on that well. Your relevancy has died out. Things have changed. With the coming of technology, so many things have changed. Like I've told you, our mindset has shifted. In those generations, mainstream media controlled what we used to hear, what we used to know. Unfortunately, with the coming of social media, there's easy access to information. So we know a lot more than they actually used to know. So with that, I've told you, like our needs, ideologies have changed over time. So we see things differently. That is why we are asking for change, as they are stuck in the old narrative of who brought peace, and for them thinking that peace is only absence of war. Peace is not absence of war. Peace is presence of other things or absence of others. If I have human rights violation in this country, I'm not peaceful. If when I come and speak on this show, I can be abducted as I'm getting out of here, that is not peace. If I don't have what to eat in my house, I am not peaceful and I'm not a source of peace to other people around me because I can become a robber, I can become a thug. That is not peace. If I cannot access quality education and quality medical care, I'm not at peace because every other time I'm worried about my health. So now that is the challenge of the old folks. They do not understand us. That is why we young people have come to show our people that we are ready to take on leadership. We just need to be given an opportunity because we understand the challenges of our generation. So I think it's more of that the different needs that have changed in this country, that the young people are seeing that the old generation is not addressing, and they're like, you know what? We just have to protest this generation and we get into power and be able to work on the issues that are affecting us. It's like, you know how Museveni reminds us of peace? It's like, for example, even him, when he came into power, when he was coming into power, the Obutes and the Amins didn't understand him. When he was mentioning the 10-point program, they used to look at a young man, what is he saying? So that is what is happening to us now. We're telling him these things of ICT data, and he's not understanding because for him, those are not his challenges. Those were not his challenges. But we are saying that, okay, if you're not understanding us, it's high time we also take on these positions so that we work for the people because we understand them, we understand their challenges. Yes.
Oh, thank you. There's what you said about the definitions of peace. I thought that was very interesting, and You hit something that maybe we just not put it in those words, but I thought you would describe that very well, that peace is not necessarily the absence of war. It's, it's an absence of so many things and the presence of so many others. So let me direct the same question to you, Tracy. What are your thoughts around, this uprising of protest politics across the region, and what do you feel that that says about our governance systems as they are?
I might, anyway, let me make it ideally a leaders. It shouldn't be a partisan co-exchange. But me personally, I also think that protest is not just, it's not just people making noise, but these are people who are aggrieved and they want to understand why is the government not matching our expectations as citizens, as a country. But I believe that, and still I believe that protest is not the best way in a government like Uganda to achieve, should I say to achieve? I believe in a government like Uganda, like the one we have, a number of people coming to the streets and making noise is not going to make them revise, maybe change. I feel like some of us have understood it wrongly, because if people are telling you they have gotten to power through a military system, through fighting in the bush, what makes you think that a few screams you make on the streets will make them feel like you make sense to them? I don't know. I just want some of us to understand such things, because to me, I think that doesn't make a lot of sense. But if people, because we are not going to go to the bush, I don't think our generation knows that. And I think a few people in our generation have tried to reach out to Chankwanzi and maybe learn a few things here and there. I don't know if Fiona, you have heard that, you've had sayings that say Uganda cannot be ruled by someone who is not a military, who has not been in the military. Have you heard about that?
Yes, I've heard that a number of times.
Yes. So what does it tell you? We do not have to use the same systems. And now if you're protesting and people are being beaten every now and then, I think people should revise those means and maybe devise something else. Just like the way Nalukwago is getting into the local governance, we should tap into these spaces in a more logical way, to get into these spaces and maybe understand that we have to pull ourselves to where we want to see ourselves, and maybe pull each other as young people. When we get there as young people, do we adopt to what our predecessors are doing? Or when we pull each other as young people, we have to get there and now do the contrary. If I am in office and I'm in the National Unity Platform, I am in the Democratic Front, what difference am I putting on table that I'm motivating so and so who is running in the National Youth Council is going to come for national politics? Or because these people are going to see, because me, I have a problem with opposition. They will come here and protest, vote. When they get to parliament, they're giving out money for maybe members of parliament. Maybe this money was supposed to be for building schools. And now they are like, we are distributing this money to the members of parliament. Even the opposition members of parliament are going to pocket that money. They are not going to say anything. They're going to move outside and they start saying protest, vote. Yet when they're in these positions, they're very silent. They're going to say overstaying in power of the president. But you're going to look through their constituencies where they are running. They have been running. This is the fourth term. They are talking about the president, but what are you doing? What are we learning from you as an opposition member of parliament? How are you motivating me, the young person who is in the NRM, and maybe probably me, I've grown up in a community that is NRM. It's what I know. It's what I've been fed. It's what has fed me. And I feel like it's my obligation to pay back to my party. But when I am learning such things out here, like, what are you feeding to me as if you're protesting? when you go to parliament, you serve for 2 terms and you step down for the other people in your party. I'll start thinking, wow, these people actually doing things differently. If you go to parliament, they are protesting about maybe probably this money was budgeted to do this and this. And at least someone is like, no, I think this money I should not be part of the people who are gambling this money. But otherwise, you're one of the people who are actually gambling the money. They are giving out flags, distributing flags when people are running for as flag bearers. You're telling me that just because someone is not a lawyer and a Muslim, they're not going to become woman member of parliament in Kampala. So I would like to understand, because me, I don't understand when they talk about protest vote verbally and in actions, it is actually not a protest vote. They are actually nursing whatever the government is doing it, they're in opposition. So me, that's why I find the problem. And I think that if we are to actually really do the protest vote, the young people that are aggrieved should actually join these offices, starting from local governance, because that is where the whole issue begins from. Because I appreciated during the campaigns that young leaders, youth in my political party ran from village level, parish level, sub-county level, district level. These different levels help us appreciate that we need to do governance from down here. So if we understand each other from down here and we understand the rightful things to do, then I believe that we will not have issues of we are not getting service delivery up there, because the whole structure from down here is effective. So why not up there where we need these services to be delivered? So I think it all starts with who is in office, and it begins with us who are aggrieved. If we reach out to the people we know and we have taught and we have encouraged and we have motivated into these political spaces, then we can deliver. But if these fellow old people are also telling us about the protest vote, yet in the 4-year term office they have not done anything, I think the protest vote is just a mere say. It is not an action that we need.
All right, I think that's actually a good segue for our next segment, in which we have a segment of the show where we actually prompt you to ask each other questions, because this is more about us getting to know you than it is about Robert or I speaking. So allow me to guide us through a short segment where you can ask each other a question or two, actually just one question each. So incidentally, let us start with Judith. So Judith, picture. Well, you don't have to picture, you are a citizen. So you are a citizen, you're watching this conversation from home, and you are specifically a youth citizen watching this conversation from home. What question would you want to ask Miss Atukunda as regards, a point of clarity or a point of, concern, or really the question is open to you. What would you want to ask her?
Okay, maybe what I can ask her as a young person in the NRM, what do you think you're going to change in that party? What has not been changed, or what do you think any of your ideas are going to be listened to? Because there've been so many young people come over the years and they've literally done nothing. You've seen members of parliament, because for the biggest part of the years, the youth members of parliament have been NRM. Or anyway, special interest groups. So what do you think you as a youth leader in NRM, you're going to change? Because they haven't done nothing. So what do you think? And I feel like what has prevented them to do anything is the system. The system is designed to serve one person. So sometimes I blame them, but so what do you think you're going to change in that system?
Okay, over to you, Tracy.
You already said that you do not blame them. And it is funny how these two questions might probably go to my side, because I might look to be from a different color from my colleagues. But I appreciate, thank you so much. as you said, you do not blame them because maybe the system has failed them as well. And I believe we are all young people. Sometimes we get to these offices with a lot of ambitions. Before we campaign, you're wondering why these people even not delivering. But when you but when you get to these offices, you actually understand that, wow, there is actually I do not actually have the right resources. I am actually pressed by the people above my office. You get to understand that actually your hands are crippled, and that is the governance we have. Even what I was talking about, that these people get to government, get to parliament, sorry, and they're actually silent. They're talking about these different things outside here, but when they get there, we're not even seeing the action things they are doing. But me, I earlier told you, in these spaces, we get an opportunity to get into these spaces because we are taking baby steps. I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to wake up and now sit down with the Speaker of Parliament and maybe ask her why is she pressing people in Bukedea to run as unopposed. I'm not going to do that. But in the societies I'm in the societies I can reach out, in the organizations I can work with, as I told you, how many hands am I holding? Because me, I believe that the leadership we do is it's beyond, of course, the political parties. It is about how many young people do you hold hands? How many young people do you reach out to? How many young people do you teach? How many? If I'm leaving office, have I motivated more 9 girls in my village, in my parish, in my sub-county that are going to pick a leaf from me? In the 5 years I will be in office, how many more people? Such that I have suitable contenders that are going to run for my position and at least even deliver better than I have delivered. Me, that is my understanding of the leadership. And I believe that it is not about the big things, but the small things you add that really makes sense. Because if I am going to continue doing these outreaches, maybe teach girls, maybe do this and this, maybe go to churches, motivate them, do donations in hospitals. If I manage to hold some other 10 girls, and teach them what best is supposed to be done in such an office, when they join, they want to even do better than I have done, or even, exceed. You get? And how many more are they going to teach? We continue the trend like that, and even as according to our powers that we can manage. Me, that is my understanding of leadership. How many more people can you hold, and what have you taught them, and are you really able to cope up with the standard that you have put there? I shouldn't be teaching them, and now I'm the person they find in bars. I'm the person they find there in the village doing a lot of gossiping. I'm the person who does not portray. If I am to pick an example and put it there for them, can they hold on to it, and can they reach out to many other people to make sure that we get a society that is collective and understanding?
Okay, how many more people can you hold? I think that question also kind of it holds the spirit of something that all of you have been talking about people, as opposed to, I think each of you, your approach has come out very strongly as the people down there, just regular everyday people, as opposed to, oh, what is happening up here, but can we address what is happening on the ground? Sort of a bottom-up approach. So let me go to the next question. Let me go to Honorable Kabuye. So if you were, let's assume you are a journalist, so try to take sort of stepping out of your shoes as an aspirant yourself, as someone who has participated in politics yourself. If you were a journalist, for example, what's one question you would ask Dr. Nalukwago? Really, this question can be anything. To clarify something, to understand better a certain position, please.
Come again, Fiona.
Okay, let me just repeat. So if you could step out of the shoes of being a politician, right, just for a few minutes. So imagine you are a journalist and you have the opportunity to ask Dr. Nalukwago a question. And this question, really what the question is up to you. Maybe you would like for her to clarify something, defend a certain position, address something important. What would that question be?
Well, thank you. But before that, I just want to add one thing that I had Comrade Tracy talk about and give example about, especially when she was referring to those in the opposition, but they are doing contrary to what they speak, and they are just doing the same thing as they had to preach against. Well, to her, my dear friend, my comrade, a lot we hold as young people and as a generation. So if you see enemies anywhere, so don't support it because it is being done, even when you know they're doing wrong. So for me, I believe wrong is wrong, even if it is being done or by almost the whole world or the whole country, it will remain wrong. So if you see even the opposition doing it, just condemn it if you don't believe in it. Being in NRM is not a crime, but supporting the the bad that is being done by those in power is what we term wrong, because we have friends and we have voters, we have supporters in the NRM, and also there are people we believe in and they are in the NRM. But what makes the difference is how they see things, is how you look at situations. If you see a situation like that happened to our foot soldiers in Imbarara, and for you just be like, no, I'm in NRM. For me, anything that happens, why would they go to the street? Why would they choose a protest? But you're not speaking about, because this is they are they are allowed to do whatever they do. They're allowed to campaign. They're allowed to express themselves because it is constitutional. It is no man given right that anyone can determine that, no, I'm giving you this, you can do this and this and this to this extent. It is the law that allows us to be free, to move freely, and also to express ourselves freely. So if we see such acts, especially those that are unlawful, let us just condemn them than condemning those that are those to whom the acts are being done. Because at one time, it might be you or any other person close to you. So to Comrade Judith, now I'm not your NEC leader in NUP for the youth. Neither I'm not an MP, but I'm a journalist from somewhere in Kasanda. And I'm so impressed and happy that at least I'm on this platform with some brilliant young people that we see and we have watched rise and build their political careers in the country. So my question would be, a lot of mess is in the parliament than local government. Why would she choose to go for local government leadership than coming to be on the tables of legislators? Because we've seen the route in parliament, the way the people have been corrupt, and she's one of the people. At least I was able to live under her leadership at Makerere University when she was vice guild president. And I know how firm she stood, especially when they tried to bribe and buy off the almost the World Guild chambers. But she stood firm and she defied all the odds and she was on the student side. So I think as a better leader, why didn't you help us? Oh, I don't know if I'm being so direct and sided, but why would she choose to go for local government? Because a lot needs to be changed at parliamentary level. We would like to see legislators, young and vibrant people who have a future to fight for, people who have served in different capacities and they have proven their abilities. Because I, for one, I do appreciate her leadership. I was one of the people that supported her and that are still moving with her. But I want to know why, because to us, the viewers and those that are going to be watching this show, we would like to know, why did you choose to go for local government than coming to member of parliament? Because you have all the qualifications and you're able. We do believe, by looking at your profile, we believe you would fit in these positions. Why would you choose to best serve at local government or local council? Thank you.
Okay, I know Judith had talked a little bit about this already earlier, but that is the question that has been given. So please, Judith, go ahead.
Yeah, I had somehow addressed it, but I am happy that you also think the same. And so many people have asked me, and Honorable Kabuye, thank you so much for appreciating. We are young people, we try our best. It's not easy to be in these positions because, being in the public eye, there's a lot of criticisms. Of course, some of them feel like they're going to break you, but uh, some of us who went through university leadership, you've been now conditioned, you know how to deal with these different challenges. So, like I had said earlier, I think I should now record a voice note so that it can be shared every time such a question is asked. Yeah, like I said earlier, when we came from university, when I looked at, of course, I wanted, even on a personal level, I want to stand for MP, but I have mentors. Of course, I asked different mentors, what do you think? What do you think here and there? Some of them were telling me, no, you should stand for MP. Others were telling me, are you really ready? So, one thing I have about myself, or I learned later in university, that very many people can give you opinions about what you should be or where you should be, but always go back to your room, sit down, and first self-evaluate. I do that a lot. I evaluate myself before making a final decision. Of course, I listen to advice, but then I look into myself. What am I, and what are my aspirations? So when I sat down before going for internship in West Nile, because that's where I did my internship, sat down and I did different comparisons on what it takes to be a member of parliament. First of all, I realized that I didn't have enough experience in national politics. I told myself, yes, I'm from university politics. It's a good platform, but is it enough to usher me into becoming a member of parliament? Yes, you can be a member of parliament, but I just don't want to be a number. I want to be a
Just for confirmation, let me make sure that can we all hear Judith?
I think she's off.
Okay, no problem. Let me just double check here. It must be a connection problem. Judith, are you there? Okay, I think let's give her a minute to try and reconnect, and hopefully she'll be able to come back and just complete that submission. It was just at the point as it was getting interesting. The internet will really humble you. The internet will humble you in this Kampala, but okay, we'll give her a few minutes to try and reconnect. But perhaps as we wait for her to come back, hopefully this won't cut her short. We can go to the last question, and then when she comes, she can also complete. So the last one, at least both of you are here because I'd like to ask Tracy now to ask a question. So Tracy, what I'd like you to picture is if you were running for MP alongside Honorable Kabuye. So picture you are both running for MP and you are opponents in that race. What's a question you would ask him? Tracy, do we have you there?
First of all, I would like to correct my brother Kabuye. I'm not opposing the protest vote. As so clear, I do not oppose the protest vote. And I'm not saying anyone who involves in the protest vote is wrong. My point was, I feel like it's not the best way in our community. It might work for Kenya. It might work for other communities. But in my view, is that it's not the best way to approach. And I gave what I think is the best way. Hope I'm clear, my brother. So my question is, how does the National Unity Platform plan to transition from protest-driven movement to a governing institution capability of delivering complex national programs? And I repeat, is it clear? Is my question clear?
Let's ask Honorable Kabuye. Is the question okay?
Yeah, it is clear.
Okay.
Okay, please go ahead.
Well, thank you. Yes, Comrade Tracy. Well, as you said, we're not against the protest vote, but you just think for Uganda it might be otherwise, and the situation might not be just as for that of Kenya and other countries that have tried it. So I do understand all that. But as I said, when I was asked about why young people are protesting and coming up, some of the things that were some of the reasons as to why young people do come up and stand up in a protest format is because they feel like they cannot do it anymore. They have been suffocated. They have tried to absorb what they can, and now it is time to burst out and express themselves. So I do pray that that not be the time right now, that young people do want to be heard. And if at any time they feel like they cannot be heard, and those that have the chance to listen to their voices, if they feel like they cannot grant them that chance, then we might be left with nothing but to go a protest way. And that we mean it because we are determined at looking at the future of our country. Well, as NUP in the protest mode, we are not going to operate in the protest mode. This is just a mode of transition, just as you see the NRA as it came and transited to NRM, and now it is the one in governance. They came with guns. They went to war, fought, and they had to secure government positions, and now they are serving. So it is for NUP. We want, and we have a framework, we have a manifesto to implement, and we have structures of all institutions of the government that we have to respect. It's not that when NUP comes in power, we are going to lay off every government agency, we are going to lay off every government employee, we are going to put off everyone and bring in new structures. But we want to bring new ways of the mode of operation is going to change. We want to give new policies, and these policies will be embroidered, and they will be they will try to move within the existing programs, but aimed at achieving our mission as the NUP, as we stipulate in the manifesto that we do give out to Ugandans as we are seeking their mandate. For example, when you look at the section 7 of our manifesto, it speaks about land and land ownership. So when you look at it and you go and you read it thoroughly, it will show you how NUP is trying to solve the issue of land grabbing and land wrangles by registering at least every land, not leaving any space of public land, because those gaps where we see people in public land and there is no any section of government that is helping to reach out to these people and maybe help them, educate them, or teach them on how they can secure their own CLA or community land associations or personal free or hold land titles. So we want to close that gap by bringing a policy whereby all land that is customary, we have a separate register where we register it. Freehold has a separate register, and these registers are going to be public, such that in any transaction, people can fact check to track and know, yes, I'm doing this transaction, but the land I'm purchasing, even if we are not on ground, it is located here and it has these occupants. That we want to do. When you look at the sector of education, we want to improve the quality of education because yes, this government has tried to quantify it and it has made public schools everywhere. Maybe at least that they have tried, though also the standard and the quality of the infrastructure that is put in the schools is still low. We want to give it quality that the young person that lives in Kasanda or Manyogaseka or that comes from Karamoja in a public school can be able to compete with those that do study in the city schools and those of the commonly known well-performing schools in Uganda. But that we can achieve if we follow the NUP manifesto, whereby we want to ensure that at least every people can access lunch and breakfast, because we believe if if our people are angry, they will not focus in school and they will not be able to understand what is being taught. We want to create a system that is going to create an equal payment to all teachers, irrespective of either you're studying, you're qualifying in arts or sciences, because we believe this it was a very good move to motivate more teachers to go into science sector, but it demotivated the arts teacher, and most of them are abandoning teaching and deciding to go to different professions and other employment opportunities, because the colleagues with whom they used to chill are now not in the same league. Science teachers go to school driving, they eat lunch at KFC. For these ones, they have to wait for a meal being served by the chef at school and all that. And this has created a very, very big problem. When we are in these public spaces, at least and offices, we do get access to a lot of information. Many people reach out to complain, to bring out their voices, that we forward them to the authorities, but which authority does not hear or listen to them. So I want to assure my sister that when we get leadership and we take it, even if we've come in a protest mode, we are not going to operate in a protest mode. We have respect to the institutions of government, and we know we shall bring our programs and bring them in line with those that are existing, and we develop a national plan on which we shall be operating as a country and as government that will be in leadership by that time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Kabuye. I see Judith is back. Sorry, Judith, we lost you for a moment there. I think you were like mid-sentence. So please, I invite you to come back and just complete that thought that you were sharing with us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Sorry, I don't know why my network, when it gets disorganized, it logs me out. But anyway, I was telling you, I just don't want to be a number. I want to be a change maker. So when I realized I didn't have enough experience in the national politics, I made a decision. Of course, there are many factors I'm going to tell you that I made me make that decision to stand for local government. I made a decision to go into local government politics. One is for understanding. You see, local government is where you understand the people better and their challenges. So because you're on ground, ground, you're on ground, so you understand the challenges of the people better than member of parliament, by the way. That is a reality. So that is one of the reasons I made that decision, to get enough experience so that I can be the change maker I want to be. The budget. There's a lot of money, because from university I have 1 year of experience in work. When you look at the monetization of politics at the moment, you require about 400, 500 million to run an MP race. As an individual has just started working, I cannot get that money. For me, I have this narrative in my mind, and the thing I follow in the way I do my things. If I cannot afford 70 to 80% of the budget of the project I'm working on, that is not my project. So I just don't do it. So when I started making my budget, because I made the budget for member of parliament, given, remember Kabuye, I was in your campaign, some of your campaigns, so I understood some of the things members of parliament, those who are contesting, do. So I told myself, let me use some of the blueprint in the different campaigns that I went to understand what money I need. So when I made the budget and I looked at it, and I couldn't even afford 20%, I told myself, this is not my area at the moment, probably later, but at the moment I cannot afford it, because I don't want people to come and inject in my campaign money and they have certain things they want me to do for them when I become a leader, because some of those things do not stand on my principles. So I have to be able to keep my principles regardless of where I go. So I told myself, when I stand in local government, at least I can afford 70% of my campaign. That means my principles, I can stand on them and remain intact on them. So yeah, that was another reason. And also the different people encouraged me, like, no, local government, you get better experience, what. So when I looked at all those factors, I told myself, probably this is where to start. Even when people think of me like this, and I am glad that I've been able to create that certain feeling within my people of Uganda to understand that I am capable of that level. But we shall start from here, and I hope they are appreciative of the position they will give me so that they can elevate me to another position.
Thank you so much, Judith. And on behalf of Robert, as well as myself, I can honestly say it's been such a pleasure having a conversation with the three of you, Judith Nalukwago and Honorable, sorry, just a moment, the network, I'm not sure if you can hear me. All right, okay, I seem to be back. Yes, Honorable Kabuye, as well as Tracy Nalukwago, it's been a pleasure hosting you on The New Breed. You've brought such a clarity that is refreshing, I can honestly say, and it's something that we hope to see more of, just to be able to hear from young leaders and, the clarity, that understanding for us to get to know you, yes, and and know what do you understand about the issues on the ground, and what do your strategies look like, what are you passionate about. And I feel this conversation has really given us quite the sense of each of you and the kind of leaders that you are, and also the kind of leaders that you are hoping to be. So thank you once again, and thank you to the audience who have joined us on this live stream. It is recorded, so you'll be able still to watch it later or share it with a friend or colleague that for sure, if they haven't caught it, will be very interested to hear what these phenomenal young people are hoping to do in their spaces. So for us, from us at The New Breed, we wish you a fantastic evening or morning. It really depends on where you're tuning in from, and have a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you once again. Bye-bye.